Vincenzo's Go Crypto Investing this August the 22nd, 2025 evening update. And we got cut off earlier on my lunch break. It was a very busy day. I was at the end of my time that I had to do that when I was trying to make that video. And then I got a phone call, and that cuts me off when I get a phone call and I didn't have time to continue on. So I apologize for that interruption, but we're going to move on from that. And if we take a look at if there's any news here with the XRP price, if we get into there, get out of here. Striking quick with the advertising now. The XRP price, is there any news? Ripple XRP $5 quest begins as bulls prepare for critical $10 target. XRP Q4 moonshot depends on one key chart condition. These are just all people's chart analysis. XRP falls, nobody cares. Ripple price analysis. Bitcoin could hit 175. XRP launches, and we're just doing live scrolling of the news. I haven't looked at this today. I'm just looking for anything newsworthy, not someone's price prediction. The crypto company, Institute multi-asset crypto treasury with Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, and Avalanche. Let's see, that might be interesting. Latest update, Bitcoin, Ethereum. Let's see what this is. Malibu, California, among the first publicly traded companies back in 2017 to embrace cryptocurrency strategy, today announced the initial closing of its digital asset treasury with four top 20 crypto tokens by market cap: Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, and AVAX, I believe is Avalanche. This launch marks a new phase in the crypto company's TCC multi-token strategy and continues its long-standing commitment to innovation and intersections of crypto and public markets dating back to 2017. TCC has been integrating digital assets into public company framework. The crypto company was once the earliest to pioneer a corporate crypto treasury and to accept cryptocurrencies as investment directly into a U.S. public company back in 2017. While many treasury strategies in the market are narrowly focused on blue chip of Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, crypto company treasury goes further by focusing on emerging digital assets with strategic value. This is why Avalanche, next generation crypto, uniquely positioned for enterprise, decentralized finance, DeFi, and real world asset tokenization, said Chief Strategy Officer at that company. As part of the ongoing commitment to security and strategic crypto management, partnered with digital bank, first federally chartered U.S. digital asset bank to implement its next generation treasury strategy. The partnership highlighted the company's focus on the secure custody of digital assets and its role in bridging traditional finance and crypto, right? So that's very interesting. So that is some newsworthy. I'm glad that we ventured together into the quick news under the XRP headline, because an early adopter of that is doing very well, very successful, and is expanding its company and expanding some use case and investment strategy with crypto and XRP and the Bitcoin and Ethereum, right? You can see the XRP, nothing has changed. And I think we actually had time to talk about this earlier. It's still in this consolidation. It's still the moving averages in the daily. The 50-day is now trending sideways. The 100-day is trending slightly up. And the 200-day is still trending up, but slowing down. We're currently sitting at $2.87, just below the $2.94 50-day moving average. As long as we stay below in the short term, the 50-day moving average, right here, we're below the major 207 horizontal resistance. We're below the 50-day moving average. Because we're below that 50-day, as long as you're below that, you can see where the live price is right about there. It's going to want to come to 273, right? To $2.73. And then if you could, you would likely see a little bit of a bounce off of that, kind of like you were doing here. But if you can't hold that and get back above the 50, it's going to play you down to the $2.55. And by then, if this continues to step down to the downside like it is, the 200-day would be running over here by late August, and then the holiday weekend right about parallel with that $2.55. So So if we go into the shorter time frame, and real quick too, while we're here, you can see the 50 right there in red, the 100 and the 200 in red, blue, and green, respectively. Those are the weekly time frame moving averages. So we're safely above those, right? But if we break this down and get into the 4 hour time frame to get more candles, you can see on this way down, it's been an orderly and steadily fall down. And usually when that happens, it'll come down to a quick capitulation like this, and then you have a return rally. So we're going to have that return rally. It's just, are we going to do the short term return rally from this local double bottom where we're at now, where we hit the 286 back here on the 17th through the 19th, and now we're at the 21st and we're hitting it again after coming just above the 50-day moving average but getting rejected. Well, is this going to be our kick up to the 307 in that pump, or are we going to make the drop down again and not be able to have any kind of return rally until the 273 back up into the 295 to $3 range, right? So that's what we're going to watch to see what happens over the next 24 hours. Is do we get a turnaround bounce because we had a bottom there and we're trying to form a regional local mini 4 hour time frame double bottom there to make a new low just above the previous low back here that we just circled, right? So that's what's going on in the short term. If that does happen and you get above the 307, you can become short term bullish again and try to make a run at the 366. But as long as you're below the 50-day moving average, it's going to want to come down to the 255. If you get above the 50-day moving average, it's going to want to play between the 255 and the 307 in the short term, and that's what we're watching out for. And I think XLM is where we got disconnected last time, or vice versa, the other way around. If we zoom into the daily time frame here, we did move the moving averages, so it was XRP that maybe we got denied on. You can see right now we'll move that our top part of our major support and resistance trading box right there. You can see what we got going on. It's just not going to let me click that right now. I'm not going to try. But right now you can see we're sitting exactly on or currently just below the 50-day moving average. We're at 39 and a quarter cents. The 50-day moving average is at 39 and 4 cents, right? Just under 39 and a half cents. So we're just below the 50-day moving average. And this thing, just like the XRP and what we probably talked about earlier, if we talked about this is either going to make a new how we bounced here off the 50 and then came up on a return rally. This is going to be the low here, and we're going to have a return rally at least up to the 43 and a half to 44 cents, creating a higher low after creating a lower high, which is forming a tightening consolidation range right here. And that would be the short-term play up here if it goes bullish into the short term. And then you would have to see, do you get rejected by the 43 and start to come back down, or do you get above the 43 and try to hold it, right? Or is this not going to come back up and it's going to lose the 50-day because it hit it last time, only going to have a slight jog to the upside, maybe to the 40 and a half cents. Then it's going to break it and end up on now what's sitting beautifully. The 100-day moving average is now exactly on the 35 cents, 36 cents, 35 and a half, just below 36 cents. Top part of this major support green box, right? And again, that's where the 50 got hit and the green box got hit on the double wick. You can see where the underneath support is in this box is down here at 31 cents, just below the 200-day moving average, right? So that's your two decisions in the short term, 43 cents, or it's coming down to 35 if you can't hold this critical 39 cents. And actually, it's if you can't reclaim it, because for the facts of the case right now, you are just below the 50-day moving average at 39.2, and you need to be at 39.4 to be on it and 39.5 to be over it. So you're just below it. So right now it's going to want to tend to come down here. You're going to want to see this reverse quickly this evening in the XLM price. The Ethereum price is the same thing. We're sitting here off our double bottom. We talked about this earlier before we got cut off last week, a week ago, when we were sitting here last Thursday making the run up in this candle right here and coming into Thursday, seeing where the high was, creating the high 1 week ago today. Saying what would make sense now is if we get exhausted just below this all-time high, which we just got below it, you come down and tag now the major neckline support or the megaphone support that used to be the 3-year resistance, you tag it, and then you bounce off of it, and then you reclaim and make a new all-time high, and then you try to work your way up to the megaphone target, which is $10,000. And if you zoom out in the daily time frame, you can see where that megaphone pattern is. We've been talking about it for quite some time. You can see why it looks like a megaphone, and there's your $10,000 target. We need to move that closer. That's why we can never see it. There's your $10,000 target on the breakout, right? Now it's trying to confirm the breakout, and you say, oh, Vincenzo, this looks very similar consolidation to what happened after we broke through this major green resistance box, came back down, tagged it, then broke through the megaphone neckline resistance, right? You say that looks very, very similar to what's going on right now, and I would agree with you. And I think that's what we should be watching for this weekend and going into next week. Do we confirm this hold, even if it has to come and retouch it one more time to make a regional double bottom? Does it hold that? And that is actually what it's going to do. If for any reason it doesn't hold in megaphone neckline major support at 4,059 and 64, you would drop down at first to the 50, and then you would expect to bounce off the 50. So the backup plan here in the short term, if it does this, doesn't hold it and slips it, it'll come to the 50, and the 50s where you would see a return rally at least back up into that megaphone neckline resistance area, right? So that's what we're looking at in the short term. Right now, it's trending bullish by confirming two hits over 2 days and holding, right? So that's what we're watching out for in the short term. But in the long term, $10,000 is the target in Ethereum. The Bitcoin price, we'll roll through DGB here. The DGB is just below the 0.083 cents again, right? And that's bearish for DGB. And you can see we've been consolidating from just above it to just below it in the same snake-like consolidation as so many of these other coins. The three moving averages have been running parallel for quite some time. You can see that right now. They've been running beautifully parallel for a very long time. You can see how long they came crashing down, and they've essentially slowly descended, but running very parallel ever since March, as the price is just at big chopping up and down, but essentially he's at a net zero gain ever since the capitulation of the brief February the 4th low. We wicked back up into about the 0.00831, and we've been within that range ever since. And right now, currently, we're back to the mean of the volume the last ever since early spring at this yellow horizontal left to right. And currently we are just think we're just below it right now in the daily time frame. And that's what we need to stay above and get above if we want to continue. Oh no, we're just above it. So we started the day below it, and then we got above it uh in the last 24 hours. I think the current price should be in red at 0.0869. So we are above it, right? No. Sorry, I'm getting confused right now. We are down here. We're sitting down here at 0.081, just below it. So you need to get back above it, because technically right now you're bearish. And when you're below this, it's going to want to try to tend the price down to the regional low from back here in June 21st, right? At 0.00681. So we want to see this get back above this weekend. And eventually one of these times when we come back down, see how you came above it here, came back down to it, failed to hold it, came back above it, came back down, failed to hold it. Now you're back below. We need to stay above it, confirm above it, and then breach this first high from back in July, and then the second high from back in May, right? Because if you get below this, your downside target would eventually be 0.00567. But in the longer term, I think in the 2026 and 2027, irregardless of this great, once the last chance you're going to have this long of an accumulation zone, I believe, for a very long time in DGB, meaning this consolidation that you've had ever since you've hit this first low at 0.007 2.4 right there. Ever since you came down and hit that in June of 2022, this whole consolidation, whether you had the worst buy here or the best buy here or the average buy in here for the last 3 years, I think time's coming to an end. And I think the price is actually going to be, before you know it, back up in here. And then the question is going to be, is it going to crash back and give it all back? Or is it going to consolidate and then make new all-time highs? But that's a question for a different day. But what I think is for sure is this price is going to get between the 4 and 8 cents late in 2026 as we work our way into 2027, one of the reasons I'm coining AMP, if you remember Jabroni Killer, helping support the truth, trust, education, and information, becoming asset millionaires via gold and silver bullion and mining stocks, cryptocurrencies, real estate, 401k steady investing, cash in the bank for peace of mind, emergencies, health emergencies, home repairs, car repairs, earning 3 to 5% in short-term CDs or bonds, for the most important reason that it's there to buy a new or accumulating to an existing asset. And you can't do that if everything's 100% invested all the time. And that's I am not a financial advisor. This is just what I'm doing. But for as simple as $3.99 a month, you can keep these videos and truth, trust, education, and information that you need and help build your portfolio and support the channel at the same time in the video description and or pinned comment. And you would know that I'm coining the 2026, 2027, the year of the AMP and the year of the DGB. Because I think both of them are in similar patterns and both of them are due to break to a new all-time high. Now, I am not a financial advisor and crypto is very risky, as we all know. And could this, and by the end of 2027, could this be what we're looking at? And then this was the big move and money maker? Could be, but I have 1 million or 150,000 coins and I'm about 2% up on the position right now because I think this is the bottom. And if I don't think it's going much lower, if it does go lower, and I think the reward next year is going to be very, very high. The same thing with AMP. It's a similar consolidation. Of course, it could tank to the downside and it could blow up in my face, but I feel very confident that the accumulated built up potential blow off energy out of this consolidation is going to be between two no, about again uh the same as DGB, about the four or the one. What is that at? That's 14. Yeah, the 4 and 8 cents in this with a potential hit of an all-time high. And I think that's where it's going. I think this is the pattern that we've been in for about almost 2 years now, building a consolidation, building a base, building momentum, building force, building trust, building interest, building more adoption in this coin to sustain a new rally that's going to happen and change the AMP's future and have a massive return for all of its holders that have been patient enough to accumulate on these lows that didn't get fleeced and heisted by all the criminal infiltrators and influencers on social media telling you that you had to buy here because the only way this was going to go was this way. But for those of you that waited, found this channel and understood now that this is the consolidation and time to take a chance if you were going to take a chance. And I have just over 1 million coins for full transparency to my audience. And again, I'm not a financial advisor, nor am I telling you to buy any of this. I'm just telling you I have 1 million, just over 1 million coins, and I have them at an average price. On this position, I'm slightly down. DGB, I'm slightly up. This position, I'm slightly down. And from the current price, I think I'm down about 10%. Let's see where that would get me looking at this. No, a little bit higher. I think I'm at an average right about there because I think it's at 0.004. I think I'm right about there, about 12%, 10 to 12% down, somewhere in there. I haven't checked it in a minute because I've been accumulating most of my AMP. I had some here, then it pumped and had a crazy 200% 3-day rally. So I sold. And then on the way down, I started buying. And I started buying because you never know where the bottom is. I bought my first AMP up here, maybe 150,000 or 200. And then I bought my last 800,000 and change down in this capitulation, right? So it brought my average price down to just about that 0.004. And I believe this is going to be a long-term hold through 2026 and 2027. And for full transparency, if this coin did actually do what I think it's going to do, say we got up into between the previous high from 2024 in the spring to the major resistance level at the bottom part of this green support box at 2.5 cents. So somewhere between 3.5 times and 6.5 times from where the price is now, I would start slowly selling some of the 1 million coins because say I got to 4x and I didn't sell anything. Now I'm up 4x my money. If I sell 10% of my tokens, I have all of my money out and some, plus a lot of profit, and still have a ton of coins, right? And then say it moved to the next level. I would probably always have 250,000 tokens if this actually moved out and I had this played out beautifully. I would always keep 250,000 as my end game. But if this went up to here, 6x, I would sell some, 8x, I would sell some, 10x, I would sell some, 11x, I would just sell small percentages on the way out. And I would preferably try to hold to 2x before I sold any, preferably 3x, because if I could make it to 3x, I would only have to sell 25% of my position or 250,000 coins to get out all of my money. And then I'm just in the house's money. And then you just slowly sell out percentages of that every 100% up from there and kill it, right? So that's what I'm doing. I'm not a financial advisor. Peace and love. I have to let you go. I'm going to take care of a little dinner business here and I'll give you an altcoin update later.